2022 has been a slow year for video games, at least that's what most people think. We have some heavy hitters on the way like God of War Ragnarok and Bayonetta 3, but indie games specifically have been thriving this year with breakout hits like Sifu, Cult of the Lamb, and my personal favorite, Neon White. Hello world and all who inhabit it, it is I, the Great Saiyan, and today we're going to be talking about Neon White. Neon White is highly regarded by players and critics alike, scoring a 90 on Metacritic. For context, the only new release that scored higher than it was Elden Ring. That speaks volumes that an indie game can keep up with a AAA beast, literally. Now I'm no expert, but game development is long, expensive, and difficult. Creating these cinematic experiences takes millions of dollars, loads of people, and years of development time. I guess that's the beauty of indie games to me, is that they're normally done by a small team on a tight financial and time budget, fueled primarily by the passion to create art. Now it sounds like I'm fanboying out over devs in this subsection of gaming, but I really want to give indie devs and especially Angel Matrix their props. I couldn't find much online about the studio, but what I do know is that they're a small collaborative team of indie devs and they made one of my favorite games of 2022. So let's actually talk about the game. Neon White is a fast-paced, action-packed first-person shooter. Kinda. It's weird to call it that when I feel like it's more of a speedrunner platformer just with gunplay and a first-person view model. It's very hard to say what genre this game is specifically, but whatever it is, it works. The game's core mechanics are based off of speedrunning and timed platforming. There are enemies to defeat in each level, hence the shooter mechanics, but you can also use your guns as movement tools. As you progress through a level, you can pick up cards you can either use as a weapon and deplete its ammo, or discard the card entirely and use it as a movement tool like a fireball or a grapple. Now most times the level just cannot be completed without discarding the card and using it to move toward the goal. But there have been some instances where I found a way to move toward the goal without having to discard all of my cards. You have free reign to complete a level, and there are confines, but doing things just a little bit different is what gets you a better time and a ranking on the global leaderboard, of which I am top 1000 on several levels. And that's probably one of my favorite things about this game, is how it feels. This game can be punishing, as precision is definitely needed on a lot of levels, but there have been times where precision would only give me a gold rank on the level, and being a little weird would get me ace rank, the highest rank you can get in game. You have to get ace rank before you can even see the comparing times on the global leaderboard. But if you just want to see how you measure up against your friends, there's a friend leaderboard which is unlocked by default on each level. I play this on Switch and it runs at a buttery 60 frames in docked and handheld mode, which is mostly where I play. The shooting is slippery, but it adds to the challenge of being accurate with your limited ammo and movement ability. This game probably feels amazing on PC, as I can feel myself wanting to play at even higher frames, and just knew a mouse and keyboard input would feel great with this styled game. There are settings to tailor your control experience, but this isn't Call of Duty. Your shooting is mostly against stationary targets, and it's the speed at which you're going that's going to trip you up before poor controls do. This game feels like what I want from Sonic. Super fast and fun gameplay that requires precision but isn't too punishing if you just can't deliver. The platforming also falls into this category. There have been times where I've overshot my jumps and had to restart my run again and again to get it just right. And that's part of the charm of Neon White. Levels are typically short, ranging from 30 seconds to a minute. There are more intense storytelling levels like boss fights that take double or even triple that time though. Speaking of story, this game has one. It's well paced and I actually got invested in it. It starts out like any great anime, you lost your memory. Everyone around you has theirs and remembers you from when you were alive. By the way, you're dead. You've been chosen to come to heaven from hell as a neon assassin and compete to slay the excess of demons that happens during the 10 days of judgment. As you complete major story arcs, a day passes and you get closer and closer to Judgment Day. I'm not going to spoil the story for you, but it does revolve around forgiveness and changing your nature. Clearly you were a bad person because you got sent to hell, but throughout the story I just couldn't help but feel bad for White and what happened to him, and hope that he would change his way and become a good guy. The side characters are great too. They all have a unique relationship to you, and it's interesting to see how you were viewed through their eyes. The way the story is told is very simple, but it matches the simple level design and gameplay. It's usually just a cutout of whatever character is talking and a fully voice acted dialogue. A very nice touch. I've seen maybe 2 cutscenes towards the latter half of the story, but they were only on screen for about 3 seconds. I really didn't mind this because I understood that sacrifices had to be made, and I'd rather it be there than the actual gameplay. After playing a JRPG like Tales of Arise, it was refreshing to have an 8 to 10 hour story that was pretty straightforward and didn't have 10-minute cutscenes. Those were beautifully animated, don't get me wrong, but Neon White's simplicity was very much appreciated. I do want to mention the art style because it initially was a turnoff for me, but as I began to play more and more, I actually fell in love with it. I try not to judge games too harshly on their art style, but it is what you experience for the majority of the time you play. The art is flat, but still has this punk edge to it. Everything is clean and sharp, but still feels badass. The demon types all look the same, which normally would be a bad thing, but when you're going 1,000 miles per hour, knowing which demons does what based off the general silhouette is very helpful. I clear levels because while floating in the air, I could quickly make a game plan of which demons to hit first based off their respective HP. I really like this game's music as well. Everything feels iconic and important when it needs to, but still has this chill sitting on the couch vibe at other times. As far as art style goes, it's not winning any awards. I think the simple approach fits this game, and besides, I'm here to slay demons, not look at the textures. When I first saw Neon White, I was turned off because it looked like a card game, but it's definitely not. Cards are just a way to tie in the mechanics. I also saw something about developing relationships with different NPCs and a gifting system, which also turned me away because I hate those added on things in a completely different genre of game. I have gifted no one anything, and I'm single in game, so it doesn't seem to be an important part of the story. I don't usually 100% games, but that may be something you want to look into when you pick this game up. I really hope they make a sequel. For Angel Metric's first game, this was an extremely quality and enjoyable experience. I highly suggest you check out Neon White on Steam and the Nintendo eShop today. 2022 has been a slow year for AAA titles, but I can't wait to dive into a few more indie games ahead of the big releases coming out in just a couple weeks. What do you think about Neon White? Are you gonna pick it up? Let me know down below. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.